Welcome to the Fantasy Football Danger Zone. We are here. We are Raider fans coming to you from Seattle and Alaska. We're going to be talking about the Broncos depth chart today. I am Armando Castaneda, and I have
Sam Hernandez. And by the way, it's Anchorage, Alaska. You want to throw Seattle out there. You didn't just say you're from Washington.
Oh, no one really knows what's in Alaska.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
Just
bad
a big
internet.
ice
I'll tell you that.
wasteland.
Yeah,
There you
terrible
go.
internet.
All right, we're here to talk about the Broncos. I'll give you a little tip. It's not the team that I hate the most in the whole entire NFL. That's still the Patriots in my book. But I do really enjoy watching the Broncos. Let's see, I got a son who's a Broncos fan now. My oldest one is now a huge always been a Russell Wilson fan, and is now a Broncos fan. So for some reason, I raised two Broncos fans. Shame.
Yeah. That's a no comment.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the wide receiver core. Let's see what we're going to get. All right. So let's talk about Russell Wilson and his impact to this Broncos offense, because I think that this is going to be the biggest thing that the Broncos did all offseason. How do you think it's going to change them?
I mean, 100%. You want to talk about validating your personnel. They were already a talented team. They were just, what are you going to do with Drew Lock? Now that you have Russell Wilson, God, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Jeudy had a lot of drops last year, was a rookie, but sky's the limit for those two as receivers. KJ Hamler stepped up pretty big, in the absence of Cortland Sutton. So, they have a good receiving core. They have a talented running back in Javonte Williams, who's going to be spelled by the veteran Melvin Gordon. And then, they have an offensive line now that's been together for a while. So, they have all the pieces there on offense to be a team that averages, 31, 32 points per game. Really, it's going to come down to, just like every other team in the AFC West. What is their defense going to do? What's their defense going to bring to the table?
Does this remind you of Peyton Manning all over again? Is that what they just did? Is they just kind of solidified themselves to make a deep playoff run, that they have the ability that they were set up, just missing that quarterback?
So, yes, in a sense that what they were missing, the key cog they were missing, was a quarterback, and that's, Russell Wilson is on that Peyton Manning level. But no, in the sense that the Denver defense was there. They were already elite. The Denver defense right now is not elite. They've kept them in games. They've kept them competitive, but this is not the same Denver defense that went to the Super Bowl. Again, this is Russell Wilson is going to have to win shootouts. Just like every other team in the AFC West. They're going to have to win shootouts. There's probably going to be large sack totals for all these guys. Randy Gregory, Bradley Chubb. That's another heck of a defensive end combo there. And God, the gauntlet for these quarterbacks to, 6 games a year, they're going to be going up against these ridiculous defensive end combos. And then on the back end, they all have corners. It's Patrick Surtain, Ronald Darby. The secondary, Kareem Jackson, coming over from Houston. Even though Houston wasn't good, Kareem Jackson's good. So
yeah,
it's a talented roster, and I know it was talked about a lot when Russell Wilson came over. The only thing they were missing was a quarterback. This roster, from top to bottom, is one of the deepest and most talented in the league. And then you bring Russell Wilson, and now all of a sudden, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, the defense isn't I think they're the middle of the pack. I think they have a chance
Mhm.
to step up. They last year, Pat Surtain, their first round draft pick, did an amazing job as a rookie.
Mhm.
I mean, Justin Simmons is still one of the best free safeties in the NFL right now. They have the pieces there. Bradley Chubb still is one of the better outside linebackers. Yes, they lost Von Miller, but I don't think that this defense really lost a step with or without Von Miller. I don't. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you look at the combination of Chubb and Randy Gregory, and just like the other teams in the division, those two guys are going to benefit from their quarterback. Russell Wilson is going to put pressure on teams to score points, and
Yeah,
who loves that more than the DNs? That's how you get those monster sack totals when
yeah,
teams are sitting there and they know they have to play catch up, or they have to keep up with Russell Wilson. And I mean, it's going to be no joke. I mean, the AFC West, man, these shootouts, we're going to be going back to the glory days, in the 70s and 80s when these games were in the high 30s and 40s. And that's pretty much what we're looking at.
yeah. It's going to be an offensive shootout every single weekend. I don't think that these defenses are going to be able to contain the offenses. Every offense is stacked. Um, Speaking of sack totals, though, I know one of the biggest gripe in Seattle living up here all the time is that Russell Wilson was running for his life. How do you feel about the Broncos' offensive line, and do you think that they're going to be able to keep him off of his back?
I think one thing that stands out with their offensive line more than any other in the division is continuity. I mean, these guys. Um, these guys have been together now, and this is a unit that at least they have that advantage over everybody else. It should be a cohesive unit with the addition of Russell Wilson, who in the event that someone does get free, he's elusive enough, and he knows he can make plays with his legs. Um, he's not the same runner he was when he first came into the league, but at the same time, he can slide and make people miss, and create the space he needs to complete those downfield passes. And one of those targets, my boy from UCLA, Greg Dulcich. Um, I was another guy on draft day. It was unfortunate. I already mentioned with the Chargers when they got Isaiah Spiller. I mean, here you go, Greg Dulcich. I was really hoping. I mean, obviously we have Darren Waller already, so they weren't
Foster
going to
Moreau as well.
Foster Moreau. They weren't going to draft him, but still, one could hope. This guy, absolute absolute beast of a route runner, great hands. It'll be interesting to see. He has to develop on pass blocking, but it'll be interesting to see how they use him. Uh, going forward, because he will be and he can be another weapon downfield for Russell.
I think one of the things that I struggle with is watching Seattle games as much as I did. Russell Wilson typically doesn't like to throw to a tight end. And like it has to be schemed, it has to be played for it to go to the tight end in order for him to throw it. And I think that's one of the plus sides that I really like about Russell Wilson is that he gives his wide receivers the time to allow the play to happen where they're not constantly dumping it down. He scrambles out of the pocket. He lets the wide receivers do their thing, which is why I'm really high on Cortland Sutton and Jerry Judy as far as like fantasy this year, because when you have Russell Wilson, uh, he gives them time. And I don't know if Albert O or Greg is going to have much of an impact other than, your random plays that are, called for the tight end.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I do have another question, another grouping question. I know they recently came out and they were talking about a possible 60-40 split between Javante and Melvin Gordon. To me, it seems a little ridiculous. Like at this point, Melvin Gordon should be nothing more than insurance. Um, but Javante Williams, I mean, the guy, he had already proven at the end of the last season that he should be the man. And for whatever reason, Denver wants to do the 60-40 split. Hey, that's great. That helps out the rest of the, keep your less explosive player off the field.
Yeah.
But how do you see this playing out, and how do you me personally, I look at Jerry Judy as the more explosive player between him and Cortland Sutton. If I were to draft one or the other, I would take Jerry Judy. Would you touch Javante Williams with Melvin Gordon looming with a 40% share, or do you let someone else worry about that?
I mean, I drafted Javante Williams with high hope in our dynasty league, but you know, I don't know if in a redraft league, maybe if I went zero RB, I would take um, Javante Williams on a cheap, fly. Hopefully that sometime week 6, 7, 8, Denver finally realizes that Javante Williams is the guy. Melvin Gordon, is just slowing him down. But at the same time, I mean, we do play 17 games this year. They are trying to make a run into the playoffs, and one of the things that you do not want to see is Javante Williams overworked, gets injured, and you don't have the best guy when you need him the most. And this is football, and running backs is the position that goes down constantly, and they get hit every single time they get the ball. So it's just from a coaching standpoint, I get it. Like, but from a fantasy standpoint, like I could see how that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It will be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Even though Javante is the bigger talent, the more explosive player, again, just maybe even just to protect him from himself.
Yeah. All right. Enough on the offense. Let's go back to the defense a little bit. We kind of glossed over it a little bit, and we kind of hit a little, a few positions. Hands down, I do think the secondary in Denver is the best out of all four teams. The Chargers adding J.C. Jackson, we're gonna have to see how he pans out. But I do like Justin Simmons, Ronald Darby, Kareem Jackson, and Patrick Surtain. Like I think if any one of the four defenses in our division have a chance to slow down any of these quarterbacks, I think it's Denver. How do you feel?
No, I agree with you, and I guess so. Secondary wise, yeah, I would put them number one. I think pass rushers, I would put them at in the number three slot, behind both the Raiders and Chargers. But again, I mean that I think that secondary is definitely the strongest in the division. But again, I just give the advantage to the quarterbacks though. I feel like the quarterbacks in this division are they don't make mistakes. They're smart. They're accurate. And again, unfortunately for the defensive coordinators in this division, but these games are going to be in the high 30s and 40s.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the Broncos. Oh, quick question before we roll out of here. Brandon McManus in fantasy. You think now that Russell Wilson's there, he is now going to be an instant starter as far as kicker goes in fantasy football?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I don't think you can really go wrong with any of these four. But yes, he definitely takes the biggest boost, gets the biggest boost out of all these returning kickers. I do have a question for you. I don't remember which kicker it was. It was the Bills kicker. Did you see the Bills punter today?
What happened?
The rookie punter, his first punt in an NFL game was an 80-yard punt. 80
No.
legitimately, yes, legitimate 80-yard punt. So, maybe we'll have to find that video and we'll add it on here and so you guys can see it. It was a net of 60 because it was eventually a touchback, but it was a touchback because it went way over the guy's head and rolled into the end zone. 80
That's
yards.
crazy. That's
Yep.
crazy. No, I did see the Chiefs. They I can't remember what like their safety or one of their cornerbacks kick a PAT.
Oh,
I did see
nice, nice.
that.
That's some Ocho Cinco stuff right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Day. Or was he still Chad Johnson then? I don't remember.
I don't remember. That was a lot of drama back then.
Yep.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for today. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. Drop any comments you guys have, any ideas. We're always looking for fresh takes. Again, this is the place to be for your AFC West insight and knowledge. Again, fantasy advice, whatever you're looking for, we have you.